Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Binge Worthy Podcast series. This is season 2, episode number 11. I'm Nate, and my co-host, Mr. G. Oliver.
G. Oliver in the house. How y'all doing tonight?
And we got a special return guest,
Yes.
Mr. Kyle A. Jackson. Put his whole
Yeah.
alphabet out there.
Yeah, I use that. I use that A sometimes. Sometimes I don't. It depends on how I feel that day. But we can use it today.
Yeah. So we're gonna do some stage to film. So what is it? Playwrights to screenwriters, I guess. Some interesting movies that I have in my repertoire.
Nice diverse lineup here tonight.
Right. See, it's getting more diverse. Some really interesting plays that were turned into actual films. Is a little not necessarily all over the place, but it's a little something for everybody tonight. So, how's everybody doing? Otherwise, y'all liking the spring weather?
Of course.
Yes.
It's
all with the thunderstorms.
Yeah, in New York. I was about to say in New York, it's been raining this weekend, but rain is all right for the weekend because that just means that you can sit your behind inside and don't do nothing all day.
Save some money.
Save some money, exactly. So
So other than that, how's everybody been doing? What y'all been up to? What's new?
I've just been trying to be creative, trying to write and stuff. I'm working on some stuff, which Nate is going to be happy to hear about.
If I'm in it.
I mean, maybe,
or direct, or direct, I'm
down. You never know. You never know. I don't, I'm just trying to get some stuff together. But like once I get stuff together, you'll know. But I'm coming out of
the last time you said that, I was naked on stage. That's the last time you said that.
Well, yeah, the last time I said that was 2015. So it's been a while.
Like naked.
It's been a while.
I mean, somebody made a thong, but it really wasn't covering anything up.
Yeah, he had his whole ass out, and it's fine because his ass garnered a lot of people, of patrons to come and see the show.
Was it America's ass?
I mean, I got paid.
They don't watch MCU films, so he probably missed the reference.
I did. Really went over my head. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think you'll be naked this time.
I'm not opposed to it. As long as I get paid.
I didn't write that play, and unfortunately, that was just part of the part. I was like, Nate, if you want the lead part, this is what it's going to call for. And
all I knew about was a damn kiss. I didn't know nothing about stripping. That wasn't. I just had to kiss somebody. That's all I was aware of. I should have read the whole play.
Yeah. See, you gotta read the whole play.
You out here taking parts before you read the show.
I had seen it before, but they didn't go that far with it. They didn't.
Yeah, some people, when they do it in colleges and schools and stuff like that, they take that part out.
Yeah.
But them white theaters, they go all the way. They go ass out, literally.
Well, at least you didn't have your titties out. Like what's her face had to. So
Well, technically.
Well, you did. Well, you did, but you did. But it's a different type of breast.
Yeah.
So you had a vulnerable moment. You had a very vulnerable moment on stage.
Well, at some point, it was very warm in there, so it kind of you kind of warmed up to it.
Yeah.
But some nights I was a little exposed because I didn't kneel down the same way every time.
Especially when you and Serena had to be tied together while you were naked.
Yeah.
That was
yeah. Titty on titty action. Yeah, it was
tied together.
Yeah. It was a lot going on. It was a lot going on.
He's a pretty crazy playwright. He is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't write that play though. I didn't write.
No, I was talking about the actual playwright.
Yeah, that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault.
Yeah. But it's been a pretty cool week. The weather, I'm definitely, I love spring. This is my spring and fall are my type of weather because you can wear a little jacket or not, depending on the
Yeah,
day.
the in between seasons, the in between
Right.
season.
But we're not out of the woods yet, so I want people to still stay responsible and get your shit together. And this ain't party season
don't
yet.
break
Not
out your
yet.
don't break out your shorts just yet.
Oh, I see people already with the toes out, and they shouldn't have their toes out. There's a lot of men who never touch their feet in the shower. That I want you to cover them back up.
I don't understand that. We have to talk about that later, but I don't understand. Yeah. I don't understand why men think that we're not supposed to do our feet. I take care of my feet. I don't understand why I mean, it's a part of your body.
Well, just keep them covered. If you don't, just keep them covered because the world don't want to see that.
I mean, I don't really think it's a whole lot of men out here. Well, I won't say a whole lot. I know that there are men out here who might have their toes out, and it ain't because they looking to show off their feet. Yeah, and if that's the case, you know what I mean. Like, you get what we give.
Yeah.
At that point, you know what I mean. I know for most people, like the idea of like the weather getting warm and feet out is for show. Right. I personally, if I decide to go toes out on a particular day, it's because I feel like these things need some air, and it got nothing to do with you looking at them. So you're gonna get whatever I'm giving that day.
Gremlin.
You don't like it, just keep your eye, make eye contact. You know what I mean?
But other than that, this week has been pretty cool. I'm actually working on a writing project as well, and I went into my aunt's vault of photos and picking some photos to use for that project. And I was a special child. I'm just gonna say it like that. I found some real special photos, and they're never gonna see the light of day. Never, ever again. But I'm interested. I had a new hairstyle every year. I noticed that was my theme in life.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Afro.
So you've been
braids.
So you've been creative,
stylish,
and you've been right.
Yeah. Well, in my college years, I definitely every semester I just try something new, but I realized that came from my childhood. I had a mohawk. I was a real big Mr. T fan, and I had a mohawk at a really young age. I had the high top, but the low top, the Gumby. I had three lines in my eyebrows wilding out. I was definitely interesting. I had a mom who let me explore. So yeah. But let's get right into it, fellas. Let's get right into it.
Okay.
So we're gonna let Kyle pick the first one.
What was the movies we had to pick from? Let's talk about
so let's give the lineup real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, give the lineup.
The lineup for tonight is going to be Driving Miss Daisy.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Fences.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
The most recent theatrical adaptation. Mm-hmm. Amadeus.
There we go.
Casablanca.
Mm-hmm.
And
I threw that one in there. I just wanted to throw a monkey wrench in there.
Yeah, sure you did. You know you love it. What's that last one, Nate?
It's actually the piano lesson.
The piano lesson.
So we have two August Wilson pieces, but this piano lesson was a TV. It was made into a TV miniseries. So that was actually the first one that transitioned from stage to TV, actually.
Of his work.
Right, of his work. Right. So that was back in like I'm going to say like the late 90s they did that.
Mm-hmm.
That was with the phenomenal Charles Dutton. And it was awesome to see it on TV. First of all, well, is that the one you wanted?
We can go with that one. That one. I wasn't going to go with the August Wilson, so we can go with that one.
Okay. But it has any of you ever seen Piano Lesson staged?
I've seen it staged.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen the miniseries.
Wow, you have to. It's different, but August Wilson's writing does not leave room for interpretation. It doesn't need it. So even with the TV series, the miniseries that they did with it, the TV film, I'll call it the TV film. They didn't change anything. He is one of the few playwrights that you can write. He writes for, it seems like he wrote for every medium. You could definitely, I don't really see his pieces as a TV show, but definitely a big screen would definitely fit his work well. And people don't realize, even with Fences and with Ma Rainey, nothing was changed.
Nothing was
The only
changed.
thing was the
The
weather.
visuals.
Yeah, well, the weather in Ma Rainey. That was the only thing, because it was supposed to be winter and they made it summertime. But as you were saying, the visual in terms of the set, we just got to see like
more
a 3D version of what the surrounding, am I calling it? I was about to call it Pill Hill, Pittsburgh would have looked like. So we got to see a little bit more of Pittsburgh in Fences. But in Piano Lesson, I like Piano Lessons so much because it's one of the few that deal with the family itself. Just solely the family. It's not just Black culture, but it's the Black family. Fences does too, but Piano Lessons deal more with us as culturally, our historical, like how we pass down things. And the center visual for this piece was the piano. And I thought it was it was one of my favorite ones, because it's that struggle between older and younger family members, siblings. What happens when somebody leaves you something? What do you do with it? Are you gonna just jump to sell it off for parts, or are you gonna cherish it? And Bonita was definitely one of the ones who wanted to hold on to it, but her brother wanted to sell it off and start a new business with it. And I thought they could have really made a happy medium, but in this piece, it was either sell it or not. But in terms of it transitioning into on TV, August Wilson's work, it speaks for itself. It's amazing how his work can go to a film, a TV series, or film or stage, and still be the same words, and nothing's changed. I don't know too many playwrights who can write like that, who can say that. Yeah.
Maybe Shakespeare. I don't know. That's about it.
Yeah. But you still have to translate that often. You still have to translate it often.
But
it has been translated often. And I think that's that's the choice.
Well,
of
I mean, from
media
but they have from a TV to a movie, it's hard to really transition his words into a film script. Like, you would have to adapt it to film or TV.
It's not man. Like those early Shakespeare productions, like the earlier Shakespeare movies, were pretty. If I remember correctly, like at least the first ones that I see, when I saw a few before I actually got into reading Shakespeare, but like the really controversial. Well, I don't know if it was controversial when it came out. It really weirded me the hell out. The Othello, with Anthony Hopkins. That one was like word for word adaptation. Mel Gibson's Hamlet. If I remember correctly, I think they may have cut a few scenes out of that,
because they're really long. They would have gone on.
There was some really long
4 hours.
scenes in there, but it was pretty much it was a pretty faithful adaptation, like word for word. I think when we get into those like modern retellings of Shakespeare, I think that's just the choice of like the industry. But I think Shakespeare is one that if you know, I mean, if you are creative enough visually, because it has to be visually engaging, right? Like, and if for people to sit in a theater and watch it, or like sit on the couch at home and watch it,
right?
It needs to be visually engaging, and I think that's what the tricky part is sometimes with Shakespeare. Some people pull it off, some people don't.
But that's when I'm so for him to translate August Wilson compared to a Shakespeare, you could just put it. It just works well because he's so descriptive. Shakespeare played a lot with words and description, but he really didn't describe things. It wasn't really, he didn't really paint vivid pictures. So that's why you can interpret his play in many different ways. August Wilson, his work is what it is. You can play with direction, but it's really little that you can interpret. Even as an actor, you can find a little bit more depth and add some backstory to it, but it is what it is. I've never seen another playwright that is just that literal with his work, and it's just
Well, see, the thing about August Wilson, the thing that you're celebrating is also a thing that, and the thing that I celebrate too, because I like his words. But the thing that's also a part of the criticism that I've heard about August Wilson's plays going into movies is that some people feel like it feels like for that reason it feels like a play on screen, and like it goes on too long, like the movies are too long because of that, and you know how people's attention spans are nowadays. That's why most movies are like an hour and a half, and they always start, people don't like linear storytelling anymore. They like it has to start
especially
off with
dramas, maybe those anime movies.
it starts off it usually starts off with a bang. That's something that I learned from like going into like trying to start writing screenplays, is that movies nowadays always start with a bang, and then they bring you back in time, or they do something and then you go back, so it's like that's how movies are nowadays. And the thing is, because his plays are so linear, because his words are so he's so like his words are very, very long-winded, a lot of monologues and things like that. Monologues that go on from pages and pages sometimes. For audience members, they feel like that's a little exhausting sometimes. That's what I've heard. That's what I've read. But I feel like most people who come from the theater who understand August Wilson, they appreciate that about it. So like
definitely.
Yeah, people like us appreciate it, but there are people who complained about Fences, for example. And me and you went to see Fences together.
Yeah.
And people complained about that because, like, the speeches were too long. They were speaking too long or whatever.
That's
but like
people don't know film.
That's
whenever people,
because they just want to be
entertained. Whenever people say stuff like that to me, I was like, okay, so you watch movies for a different reason.
Boom bang pow is what I call it.
Yeah, and that boom bang pow, even in a visual, in a visual translation, is like, I noticed that one of the things I love about old movies is the lack of editing. Like, I love camera movements, right? But then there's this lack of like constantly cutting from one angle to the next, like in a scene. And I remember when I was introduced to Hitchcock, and I had to train myself to appreciate sit through a Hitchcock movie, because I think one of the first Hitchcock movies I saw was like, I want to say it may have been Secret Window. It was the one where the woman is sitting in her apartment and she's just watching everybody. Like, she goes from one window to the next, and she's like peering into all of the lives of the people who live in the building across from her. And there were no like cuts, like the camera just, I mean, and it's like the 15-minute opening of the movie, right? It's just her, and there's like no dialogue, I don't think, because I don't think there was anyone else in the scene.
Right.
Except for her talking to herself and making comments about what she was watching, right? And she would go from this window to that window, and then she would be doing something in the apartment, and it was like this long, continuous shot. And I just remember thinking like, damn, like my initial thought was how dry it was, right? And then,
but that's storytelling
about
in and of itself.
Yeah. and like the storytelling aspect for a lot of people is just it's missed on a lot of people. I see people criticizing films and television, even TV shows that I'm sitting back and I'm like, yo, this is incredible, and people be like, yeah,
because
that went on for too long, and I was just like, what?
But see, that's why a lot of the shows that we got last year got so much acclaim, because it got you from the beginning and it kept you. But everything can't be that. Because where do you go from there?
Right.
If you start all the way up here, it's nowhere else to go. And it's going to be hard for a lot of those shows to have a season 2, because where do they capture you at in season 2? It's hard to really, you gotta, sometimes it's a slow burn, sometimes they get you, like what was the film that we talked about the last time, where it was this big shocker at the end. Everything can't be the same formula. It has to switch up, just to keep you on your edge, on edge.
Sometimes I don't think it's even about like them, expect what they expect in the movie. I think it's really just people have short. If you realize, and I'm going into like a lot of stuff that I'm noticing now. If you notice, a lot of the plays, a lot of recent plays that I've gone to see, like newer plays that are written in like the last 5 years or so, a lot of those plays are like an hour long.
Yeah.
These plays, like, they're not doing intermissions anymore. They're going in and like you're getting out in like an hour and 10 minutes, an hour 20 minutes tops. You out of the play, and that's unheard of, because we used to be in a theater for like 3-4 hours. Because you had like an hour and 20-minute first act, then you had an intermission, then you had like an hour and 20-minute second act.
Because they're doing the same thing that TV is doing, and basically movies are doing, because it's just they're trying to market to a certain audience, and you have to train your audience often, and they either gonna like it or they not gonna like it. And I know plenty of people who was not of the theater, who fell in love with theater based on a play that they would not have normally watched,
right?
Any other time. So we have to stop trying to market to people,
but it's
and just create the work.
It's like, and I say it all the time, and I've said it like once this week. It's really just like, and I don't mean to sound like an old person, because I'm not. I do computers, I do technology, I'm on social media. But like
on social media.
One thing that I learned, being somebody who remembers before social media, I realize now that like the social media age has like shortened people's attention spans, because you get everything.
Oh yeah,
you get everything that you see, every video that you see on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. It's like a minute long, and they tell like a whole story in 1 minute. Sometimes they're even talking really fast and making really, really like quick points. It's not like a lot of talking. It's like quick points, things that you can put on,
because they think that's what their audience wants to see. They don't think that their audience will really digest, something substantial. They don't really think.
I actually think it's just due to you have a lot of social media has allowed a lot of people into a space that is really very conducive for creatives, right? But when you either lack creativity or you haven't taken the time to really cultivate, because I think everybody has that creative spark, right? Or like creative potential. I think that the artists are the people who have spent time to cultivate those skills and that talent.
Right.
And social media has made it very, very easy for you to have like a platform or, garner an audience without actually having cultivated any talent, right? Like any actual skill.
Right.
To write something that people will sit for 3 hours to see. Right. It's like that doesn't happen overnight. Like someone has spent hours and years cultivating and practicing and writing drafts to get to that point. But social media has created this space where like all you need is a camera phone and you can cut and edit something in a half an hour. And even if it's not particularly good, tends to get views anyway, right? So
because everybody into this formula though, and it's
So I think it has a lot to do with that as well. Is that you have a lot of people with access to these tools to be in a space that was usually exclusively filled by like real artists. And they can do it without putting in that time and work that most artists put into before we ever, find out who they are.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree. But this whole formula-based creativity where you have a lot of people who aren't necessarily of that artist background coming in trying to make work and then formulating it. So it's, even on the end of a podcast, everybody thinks that they have it down to a science now. We got to keep it under a certain time because people's, but we watch stuff that is over a certain time limit. If you're interested in it, you're going to watch it.
Right.
And I want,
exactly.
But I want people to go back to just creating, edit, and think about your audience, but create the work first. Don't create the work based off of what you think people want. I see a lot of that happening, and some good work happening, but I like when stuff is just organic and it happens and it's being built that way. And, but
yeah.
So a piano lesson, are we waiting to see that? I think that is the next one. And Samuel L. Jackson
Denzel cut a deal to do I think
all of them.
Yeah, the like 10. It's 10. It's more than 10, but it's like there's 10 that are really like considered, because one of what was it, the 11th one that he passed away before he actually finished?
No, it's actually finished. It's not. You can tell it probably wasn't. He hadn't gone through the workshop of it, but it's complete. That's Radio Golf.
Okay, so that's been done. So is that the 10th or the 11th one?
That's the 10th.
Right?
That's the 10th. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's one 10. Other play, Denzel cut the deal to produce all 10.
Yeah. So the next one is going to be Piano Lesson, and it's going to be starring Samuel L. Jackson, and which is crazy to me. Not that I don't think he can do it, but I think Charles Dutton should have been asked to do it, but maybe he's not in the Denzel circle. And as Bunitha, we're going to have Danielle, who is playing Mahalia Jackson right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Danielle from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting because those are two faces that we've never seen together. We've seen Samuel a lot, and we're starting to get used to Danielle's face, but or acting rather. I don't want to say their face, but I'm glad it's not Denzel and Viola. I'm very happy about that. Once again, I didn't want them to be a mainstay throughout this whole.
Oh no, that would have just been weird.
Yeah.
Like if they did,
especially they just play husband and wife and fences,
right? Yeah. That would just be weird.
But I'm glad to see some new faces. This production, this TV made for TV version of Piano Lesson has some incredible faces. You can definitely see that. But I want to see, some old mixed with some new. I definitely want to see some seasoned actors. I don't want just the Hollywood stars. Quote unquote stars in it, just for star power. But I want to see some real meat and potatoes being done with this because it's too good of a body of work for it to just be, another Hollywood film.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what Samuel Jackson can do. I don't want to see the Samuel that we normally see, but if you don't realize that Samuel Jackson does do plays, he started out doing theater.
Is one of our greats. Like, you got against that? You got something against Samuel?
It's not that, but he has turned into that film actor, and often when you bring a film actor back to something that's theater related, they normally too big. Like Denzel came back and did a couple plays and he was Denzel, and he didn't really
Wait.
He, I don't.
I'm gonna leave that
Denzel was
alone.
not.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
But see, acting. But see, you're thinking about him just being a performer or actor. But on stage, it was not the best.
Well,
My pockets
was not in a place where I could go have seen the Julius Caesar or Fences when it was in Broadway. But I read the reviews, and they were pretty much stellar.
Fences was much better.
For him,
Julius Caesar wasn't good. I'm just being honest. It wasn't good. And that was across the board. It was some good moments in it, but it just wasn't. And that's just sometimes when you're used to a certain format and you come back and you do theater, sometimes you know, it's a different style completely. So it just wasn't the best, his best work. I'm gonna say it like that. Fences was pretty good because I think him and Viola have great chemistry, but you know,
I didn't see Julius Caesar, so I can't comment on that.
It felt a little soap opera-y because they tried to adapt the piece and make it more military.
Yeah, they modernized it.
So they made it more. It felt more like a military film. That's what it felt like.
Okay,
and it wasn't. I think the theater that they used wasn't. It didn't. It was too big for
what they were trying to do.
Okay. Yeah. It didn't fit. But I'm not saying Denzel is a bad actor, but sometimes.
I mean, everybody. I mean,
two different acting styles.
Everybody got their. Every dog has his day.
I'm just saying, you can't be good in everything.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Right. So I got to take your word for it. It's Denzel.
I'm just saying, still theater. But so George, you can pick one next.
Let's go with all right. Let's go with my. I think. Okay. Up until Fences came out, I'm gonna say this would have been outside Fences. This would have been my favorite, Amadeus.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I saw Amadeus as a kid, and I remember I was a kid, young enough, just old enough to understand the language, but too young to have any real perspective of what was really going on. So not knowing who really much about Mozart or Salieri, but I remember being so captivated by the guy who plays Salieri, his performance.
Yeah.
Because there's some monologues in there that just really, I remember, and this is I might have been maybe 12, right? And I remember there were monologues in that film that just really blew me away.
And he narrated the character himself narrated the actual film, which was a great choice. But this movie was it was long.
It's very long.
I remember watching this for a music class. I want to say this was middle school. We watched it during our music class, and it took us probably a whole week to watch this movie. Class was only an hour and a half.
Right.
But it just was
90-minute increments.
Right. Yeah. But it was definitely a very long movie, but it kept your attention in such a spooky way. It kept your attention how a play would keep your attention. Because it felt live. But I think it was his narrating that kind of kept you going throughout the whole movie. So this character was supposed to be the secret nemesis of Mozart at the time. And you see a very young Mozart kind of matriculate through his journey as a young, hot, he was real hot, a real, chasing the tail type of guy. And he was very flamboyant, very just over the top all the time, but he was very
so nonchalant.
Yeah.
And that's what got me, because Yo was so bothered. The main character was so bothered, and Yo was just like, yo, I'm Mozart. I'm just doing my thing.
But it is a storyline that works now, even within music, because you see a lot of older performers really have that same venom in them for these younger performers, where it comes so easy for them.
And we what was it, like 2-3 episodes? We had like we talked about a series of films, or we were talking about some films, and like I think 2 of the films dealt with like that older starlet versus, you know, and having it out for the younger starlet, even though the younger starlet is really not even aware.
like an all about Eve sort of.
That was actually the movie we were talking about.
That was the movie we were talking about, because I think there were like 2 different versions, and was that the one where it was 2 different versions?
No, that wasn't all about Eve with 2 versions. That was the what's the name of the movie called?
Imitation of Life.
Imitation of Life, right? Because we watched we watched separate versions of it. So yeah, it's definitely like that's a timeless. I guess that's a timeless theme.
But it doesn't even feel. You can watch it
young,
today.
But yeah, no, it still holds up.
Yeah, I watched this again just to freshen up on it a couple weeks ago, and it was still something that you could watch. Definitely like a snow day or a sick day or somewhere you got some time on your hand. But it really it had the same impact that it had when I was in middle school and watched it as it does now. It was just very interesting. I love classical music, and I love the fact that the music was incorporated in it. It wasn't just talking about music, but at the same time, it was very elaborate. It was very theatrical. You know, it stepped outside of the movie kind of box and kept the theatrical means. And as I said in the beginning, all these films started out as plays first. So I can only imagine what this looked like on a stage.
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we already know how period pieces do on stage,
right?
But it's just, I think on stage, it's very rare to see. The thing about Amadeus that sticks out to me is that, first of all, it's very rare to see something like that on stage, because like it doesn't have a particular genre to me. Like it's called a drama, or like a period drama, but it's like you said, you used the word spooky earlier, and I think when I think about it, I never thought about it as spooky, but like dark. I guess that dark sort of like
but it was contrast, because
a sense of terror
was the dark, and Mozart was the light throughout the whole piece.
Yeah, a sense of terror. You had a sense of terror about Salieri, and like, you know, just like how he actually, just how, what's his name? What's the actor's name? F.
Murray Abraham.
Murray Abraham. Just how he played him. He won an Oscar for that, and just how he played that character. And like, you know, I haven't watched the movie recently, but I remember seeing it, and I remember being legitimately just disturbed. And it
was very ironic that his character was very captivating, but the actual character itself was like, so just a fade, a shadow of Mozart.
Exactly. And I think it, like the movie, like you said, it's timeless, because you could apply it to anything. Like you have these older artists who are like this about the younger artists, and you see a lot of movies like that with the darker theme like that. Like Black Swan was like that. You see a lot of movies like that, but I think this movie is the one that sort of because All About Eve was a comedy. Like it was funny, but like I think this movie sort of like gave that storyline, or that plot device, like the darkness that it needed. And I think this started like that whole slew of films in that sort of like you know, wheelhouse,
like the psychological thriller. Almost.
Yeah. I think this sort of like did that. So because when I watch this, I can definitely say that something like Amadeus is what inspired Black Swan.
Yeah, you know? it definitely, and I'm glad you just said like the psychological thriller. Like it was definitely, you know, knowing what was going to happen at the end, knowing how the story ends, I was still like captivated as I was in middle school when I watched this, and not realizing what was going to happen next, and still being surprised that the ending where Mozart dies penniless and broke, and Salieri's, ends up killing himself, like such a Greek tragedy, such a, it had so many different things going, because it was on stage, they were making it as if it was an opera, but they separated it, so it did not really have its own category. It wasn't just an opera, it wasn't just a drama. It had comedy in it, but it stood on its own as a play, but I would love to have seen this. I would have loved to have seen this as a play. I don't think I want to.
When was the last time it was in production? Does anybody know? Because it's not even something that I recently remember seeing. Like it, some plays. We got plays that go into production. Every couple of years or so.
But I'm quite sure something like this would take, like the Met or some huge, big budget space to be able to pull that off. I don't even see, maybe like a center stage here. They pull that off, but this seems like a larger than life piece because there's so many different moving parts in it. And I was trying to find.
I never even knew that this was a play first.
Yeah. Because that's how I was first interested. Yeah.
Tim Curry was in it.
Yeah, it was a lot. I can only imagine. I would not want to be a stage manager for this. This is one of the pieces. It's too many. Too many moving parts. Nah, I'm gonna pass on this one. But I loved it. I think it is definitely something that, as George always says, stands the test of time. Like it's still, it's good still today. And I found myself like, I'm gonna just watch a couple hours of it today, and I ended up a whole Saturday I spent just making jewelry, watching the film. And it was still as good to me. His character is definitely, and I think he did win an award for this, but he was really, really, his storyteller. He's a great storyteller as an actor.
He won the Oscar for this.
Yeah. But I think this film won some awards.
And I think he beat the guy that played Mozart. I think they were both nominated in the same category.
Yeah. And he's the guy who played Mozart. His name escapes me, but he was really good. But it was crazy how in character the focus was one way, but in terms of just the acting, and because the story was being told by Salieri, he's of course going to be the star of it and the focal point. But he carried this from start to finish. It was really I thoroughly enjoyed. This is something that I'll watch again like soon because I saw things in it this time that I didn't see because I haven't seen this in years. So it was things that I saw in it this time that it was like, oh, I didn't even recognize that. But I guess it was this age and I'm seeing things differently. But so I guess we all agree that this is definitely something.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That is a must watch.
Oh, yeah. Must watch.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm gonna go with Driving Miss Daisy.
Okay.
Because I saw this as a play first. This is another one that I saw as a play first before I saw the film. And it was boring as a play. I
can't imagine. I'm glad you said that, Nate, because I have not seen this as a play. I never seen Driving Miss Daisy as a play. I think this might have been another one. Let's see. I knew that, of course, Fences. Actually, most of these, with the exception of the August Wilson's one, I didn't realize were plays first until I saw the list for this episode. I'm trying to figure out okay, so they spend most of their time in the car, right?
So in the play, that's the whole.
And I was thinking to myself, how would this have worked in a stage production? And
we can say the same thing about We can say the same thing about Fences, where the play is all in the backyard.
So that's fine. I mean, listen, every play, for the most part, well, not all of them, because obviously the sets change and whatnot. But there are a number of plays where the setting is just the setting, right? Like Raisin in the Sun pretty much takes place totally inside of the living room of their house. Fences in the front yard. The backyard. There are a number of plays where there's a very limited setting. But yet, in the living room, there was plenty of places to move. Conversations flowed from one side to the other. Same thing in Fences, But if you're in a car, right, like there's not much movement that's going on. Like somebody's driving and then there's somebody in the back seat, right? And then you got to have these engaging conversations when realistically, if you're the driver, right, these conversations, you can't be turning around all the time.
Right.
So I was just wondering, like, I was like, that's a really interesting setup to have to work around and to remain engaging. So
I only saw I saw it after the movie came out. I saw a better version of the play. I guess this play had a bigger budget because they had how on stage they sometimes use like the frontal car where it's like the front half of it. And they had a little bit more of a budget for this one, and it was more interesting. So it started with the car breaking down, and the dialogue is very interesting because you have this older white woman and this older black man having some really interesting conversations. As we saw the movie, a lot of that conversation was kind of spread out throughout the film. But those hard conversations, those interesting, provocative conversations happened that was the actual play.
Like it was
take out all the other stuff that happens in a movie.
And then that's the play.
Right. And you just hear the conversation between the two of them. And it's very interesting. To watch the movie, you feel more of, you feel a lot of the racial experience between the two, but it's not all about their differences. It's them kind of having this union, this conversation, and you feel almost like they are in an intimate relationship. That's what the play felt like, where the movie kind of hinted to it a little bit and wouldn't really touch it. But it definitely was a different play compared to the movie.
Well, Driving Miss Daisy, if I'm not mistaken, that was Morgan Freeman's one of his biggest.
Yeah,
that was like his breakthrough, right? Or was it something else?
He had a couple movies before that, but this was like his big movie.
This is Hollywood Homecoming.
And this is why people have felt like Morgan Freeman's been old forever, because
he didn't really start until he was like in his 40s.
Yeah, he didn't get his big break. He didn't get his movie break until he was in his 40s. But it was just interesting to see. Morgan Freeman's interesting to watch. For me, and I've never seen it on stage. I can only speak for the movie. Morgan Freeman's interesting to watch for me because first of all, his voice just sort of like commands your attention. But like to see him,
voice,
to see him in a movie where he has to play opposite this white woman and like. And he's supposed to be like her driver or somebody that's seen as quote unquote subservient to her, but then he has such powerful views and such and at first you think he's just going to be like that typical black character, but then he turns out to be a deeper person than that. And like I've always enjoyed, I don't have a whole lot to say about Driving Miss Daisy. Like I've always enjoyed it. Like I watched it a couple of times. I watched it for the first time like when I was young with my grandmother, and like the whole family was sitting in front of it. I remember Jessica Tandy because I think wasn't she also in Fried Green Tomatoes?
Yeah, yeah,
which is another movie that I saw when I was young. That I really enjoyed. I just remember liking the way that these two played off of each other, and like watching that just really took it to another level for me. I thought it was just going to be like, the regular sort of like, oh, this is, a
the
black
magical
guy,
Negro trope.
yeah, driving this woman around and blah blah. Who wants to see that? And then like it turned out to be something, because I watched it when I was younger and I didn't remember a lot of it. And then when it came around to like watching it again when I got older, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this.
Because it just looks like it's gonna be something just like you mentioned, fried green tomatoes. Like I'm not gonna enjoy this. But then you get into the conversation and the dialogue, and you like, okay,
yeah, exactly.
And she comes across as this snooty old white woman, but she really, had a past and a very vivid past, and you kind of learn a lot. And that's the basis of the conversation. So imagine, seeing it on, it wasn't on Broadway. I think it was off Broadway with James L. Jones and Angela Lansbury in these roles. So that was it. It was a totally different perspective in watching it from the first time, because James L. Jones has that same kind of voice actor as Morgan Freeman, but Angela Lansbury had a different. She brought something different to it than
Jessica Tandy.
Yeah, than she did. So it was definitely a different. I like. I've always liked this. I liked it because it was. I liked the play. I wish the movies had stayed closer to the play, but of course you had to add all the other characters. You had to add, different scenes because they got to do more because it was a film. But the intimacy of the play is what I liked. It was just that all the times I saw it, outside of that one time with James Earl Jones and Angela Lansbury, it was just boring. It was so dry because it's hard to be stationary and do a good play. And I've seen it where they just set chairs up and that was the car. It was, I'm big on spectacle. So I like when you can do things on stage that don't feel like it fits. But it was too plain. But the movie definitely was good because we got to see like the atmosphere that they were in and the time and place that they were in. But it was good. I think it was overall it was good. Did you like it at all, George?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like this is one of those movies I saw as a kid, and too young to really have any perspective to understand like what was really going on. But it's Morgan Freeman, right? And he's getting, he's getting into it with this catty white lady. So it was entertaining enough for like, a 12-year-old, 11, 12, however old I was when I first saw it. But no, like once I got older and actually, got to actually really watch the film, like this has always been, this is a classic as far as I'm concerned. Like I've always enjoyed it. Yeah.
So that was Driving Miss Daisy. Kyle, you want to pick the next one?
What have we done already? We've done
Piano Lesson. We did Amadeus, and we just did Driving Miss Daisy.
Fences and Casablanca left.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go with what we were talking about. While we actually kind of talked about it while we were talking about the Piano Lesson, but Fences, because like I said, me and Nate, and Jason and somebody else, I can't remember, Alex, that little boy. We went to see this like on Christmas Day, right?
Yeah.
Like we went to see this on Christmas Day in like 2016 or 17.
Wow,
it was 16. Yeah.
I thought this was phenomenal.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah. Because I had already saw Piano Lesson in a different format, I was prepared for Fences. I knew wasn't because Denzel Washington had promised that he wasn't going to alter the script. And to see it on a big screen like that, to watch it on, piano lesson on TV was cool. But because I didn't really know August Wilson when I saw that as much as I had knew him when I saw Fences. But it was just, I remember sitting there just amazed. I heard Jason commenting a little bit here and there, but I really didn't pay attention because I was just amazed to see what Fences looked like on a big screen. It was just amazing to me, and it was kind of bittersweet that August Wilson didn't make it to see his work transition to this platform. I don't even know if it was his intention ever, like a goal down the line, to have this happen. Because I know he was really focused on this cycle of plays and really showing a whole scope of his life and his childhood and the men he knew and the women. But to see this in that space, and I think Fences should have been the first one. But I can't wait till they get to the ones that we don't get to see that often, like the Seven Guitars and the King Hidleys. I can't wait.
Which one was first?
Fences.
No. Which one was first for a movie adaptation?
Oh, in the
August Wilson series. Was it Fences?
I think it was. Was it Jitney? I can't even tell you that. That's crazy.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I just thought about it. Sorry. I was like,
I thought it was Jitney for some reason.
It might have been, but Fences is the one that everybody. I think a lot of people who went to see Fences, I don't think they even really realized it was a play, or like some people didn't even. I know a lot of people that went to see Fences they don't even know who August Wilson is. They went to see Fences and they loved it, and because it was the famous black actors that we know, Denzel and Viola. Shouts out to Viola for winning her first Oscar finally for Fences, and hopefully she gets another one this year for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. But I
just looked it up. Jitney was the first one. I thought it was Jitney.
But I was just amazed that a lot of people didn't know, because I didn't realize that people aren't really learning.
Honest, but prior to, we was in college when August Wilson passed away. So even for us, some of us knew who he was, and some of I did not know who he was. Because I went to white schools and we did Tennessee Williams and stuff we didn't do August Wilson.
I know who August Wilson is because of the Arena Players.
Right. Like,
and that's how a lot of people if I had not gotten into acting and then did my training at the Arena Players, I'm sure I'm pretty sure I would have heard of him at some point, but it probably would have been through this movie. To be quite honest with you, if I wasn't an actor, I don't know if I would have been in any space where I would have been exposed to August Wilson.
And that's unfortunate, because
I think that's true for a lot of people.
And it just shows you how limited, especially the theater world, is for black talent. Because for somebody like a August Wilson to fall through the cracks like that during his lifetime, and then only really get humongous after he died, as most black artists do, it was just very unfortunate. I love, not the fact that he passed away, but when he passed away, there was a huge effort to show everything. I think I did a August Wilson tribute at Center Stage. There was one at Towson. There was one at Howard. It was happening all over.
That's probably the first time they'd ever did anything August Wilson.
First time. Very first time, probably. Right. I'm quite sure. But he had a select group of people who followed his work, and from Center Stage did his work, and he had a cycle of, I theaters that he worked with in terms of workshopping his plays until it got to, and that's how they got to, all of them got to Broadway. But it was unfortunate that he wasn't as big as he could have been, in his lifetime. And he was a phenomenal, he needs to be taught in literature class. He needs to be taught in a lot of these English classes, because his words are just poetry. It's poetry. And this is a self-taught playwright. This wasn't even somebody who went to school and studied it. And this man literally dropped out of school. Right. And they're on the same, for me, they're on the same page. And people are going to be doing Troy and Troy monologues, and what was her name in Fences? They gonna be doing these monologues at the end of time.
Rose.
Right. If I hear one more actress do Rose, but it's because they're so good. Like, he wrote for us. We were talking about him when we did Fences the first time, me and George, and he wrote he's one of the only playwrights that wrote for Black men. It's not a lot of plays out there for Black men, unless you adapt something that was probably predominantly white or from another culture and made it out, and then there's a strong role for maybe a Black male character. But I can't really think of many.
Yeah.
Another thing for men, Black men.
Another thing, August Wilson was also a musician, wasn't he?
Well, he loved music.
Because a lot of people, like, one of the first plays, August Wilson plays I did, the director told me this, and this is when I really realized, I was like, wow, I was like, damn, this is really good. Is when I was like doing a scene, I was doing a monologue, and she says, okay, that was good. She was like, now sing it. I was like, what? She said, sing it. Sing the words for me. And I started singing it. And it just started going. And she was like, you hear that? I was like, yeah. She was like, that's jazz. August Wilson wrote jazz.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit.
Because he started out as a poet. So he had a strong ear for melody and rhythm. And so that it would have naturally gravitated to. And again, he's self-taught. He actually dropped out of school and started reading books out of the library. That was his education. He self-taught himself. So it was really just I can't think of anything. I know, over at Morgan, Professor Dunlap, she was trying to start August Wilson. Well, she had a class, because I just interviewed Quincy from Morgan, and he talked about the class, and I remember her trying to talk our professors into doing it, because he's somebody who needs to be a course. It needs to be a course study, and not only playwright, but literature and English alike. Even a Black history class, because that to do a cycle of 10 plays that kind of gravitated every decade or hovered over every decade of 100 years, like, that's a span of life from beginning to end, like. And then you don't see many playwrights that can do that and still be relevant. And he was underground at one point, but he has definitely risen above that. And this cycle of films that Denzel is producing is definitely going to take him to another level as, the playwright. Unfortunately, we don't have any more from him, but he still has some pieces that we don't know much about. I've never seen Seven Guitars outside of when we had to do it for our class at Coppin, our directing class. That's how I was introduced to that one with Jack Terry.
I've never seen Seven Guitars. I saw Jim of the Ocean though. Jim of the Ocean is really good.
In Jim of the Ocean.
I saw the one that was at Everyman Theater with the lady who played Lena in the production of Raising the Sun, and I was in it Everyman. I forget her name, but she played Phyllis Rashad's role in that in that show at Everyman.
And I've seen some pretty iconic individuals play in his plays. If you've ever gone to the Black Theater Festival that happens every other year in
I have
Winston-Salem,
never been there.
they do at least one August Wilson play every time, and I don't know how they're doing it now since the creator passed away. But they incorporate that into their thing. So I suggest people go. I haven't been in a couple years because it wasn't the same after he passed away, but uh, it was just awesome seeing these iconic 80s and 70s TV stars playing it an August Wilson piece. But Fences is definitely at the top. I keep mentioning Seven Guitars because I don't think people have ever seen it. So I just can't wait till he gets to that one. Which one of his plays do you want to see next? Jitney?
I would love to see. I've said it. I would love to see Jim of the Ocean as a film. That's the one I'm waiting on.
And that's good. I know Felicia's already freshening herself up. Which one?
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
All 10.
Yeah. What did Fences win? What awards did Fences win?
Denzel was nominated. Viola won.
Okay,
and I think
so that's the one she won for.
And I think it was also nominated for Best Picture that year.
It's just I'm amazed that I'm glad that a Denzel took it over, and not as somebody else or somebody who would have watered it down or turned it on its head, but somebody who was going to stay true to it.
I'm glad they got George C. Wolfe to direct it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he direct Fences? Because I know he directed
Denzel directed
Fences. Yeah. But George C. Wolfe directed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Ma Rainey, yeah. I loved it. I can't wait to see, like, every Christmas we got another one to look forward to. So hopefully that's the cycle that they keep up.
I remember seeing Fences the first time, and I was just in awe. I was like, and then this is the one that I knew was a play, and I saw it. I bought it when it became available.
Oh, you meant the movie?
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm talking about the movie. Nah, dude, it was phenomenal. Actually, no, these are all I think it did come out in theaters, but it came out immediately on Netflix as well.
What, Fences?
Fences, yeah, the movie.
No, it came out in the movie theater first, and then
it came out on Christmas Day on Netflix and in the theater. It was a day and date release because all of those films are coming out on net. All of those films are produced by Netflix. It went to the theater because it has to go to the theater in order to qualify for award contention.
Yeah.
So a lot of times these really, really good films, they come out on Netflix, like Fences, like the one that Martin Scorsese just did. Ma Rainey came out in the theaters as well, but also The Irishman, which was a Netflix production, right? Also had a theatrical run so that it could qualify for all of the awards.
And didn't what's the movie by Dee Rees that Mary J. Blige was nominated for an Oscar for?
Mudbound.
Yeah, I think that did that too.
Mudbound also had a limited theatrical release.
Because I remember this. I don't remember this being on Netflix.
Fences,
because you were just like, I gotta go see it in the theater.
I don't remember it being on Netflix either. But hey,
I mean, we just planned to go. That was just part of our plan to go see it on Christmas. But yeah, and maybe because I really wasn't. I didn't really watch a lot
deal.
Of
it was like with Warner Brothers when Denzel originally cut that deal, and then something. I don't know the specifics, but something with that deal fell through, and Netflix picked it up. So all of them are going in the theaters. Huh?
Yeah. I'm glad that it's being seen regardless. I hope that it does, continue to stay true to script. I know probably when it gets to probably King Hitley, and
think they're gonna
maybe
start taking
Jitney.
liberties?
I hope not.
I mean, with the words.
I really hope not, because you don't have none of his work. You have to do that to.
Yeah,
You just don't. I think Gem of the Ocean may be the different one, because that one's the one that deals with a lot of magic and what's the I just hope none of them have to be changed or
I don't
adapted,
think any of them are,
because they've been the first two have been successful enough.
Yeah.
For them not to, have to change much. Or I just hope Netflix lets Denzel keep doing him instead of them trying to add their 2 cents to it. I don't think they would do that in this climate anyway, but I just don't want them to. And that's why I've said I'm glad a Denzel worked on it. Because anybody else would have fell to the pressure of, well, maybe you should put Puff Daddy in as Troy, and something like that, But I'm glad that somebody who knew August Wilson, who knew his work rather, and was able to,
don't be throwing shade at Kenny Leon.
I'm just saying, I mean, it's a reason you do that, and they brought Puffy on because they wanted to bring that audience in the same way they brought Fantasia in for The Color Purple, and so on and so forth. But
I heard Fantasia was actually good.
Fantasia was phenomenal. For all the drama that went on with the group that I went to, getting to see that, because we got to see it the first show after the writer's strike was over. Remember, the stages went dark because they was doing a writer's strike. So it was come hell or high water. Some people couldn't fit on the bus because we sold too many tickets. It was crazy. But I'm not even gonna get into that because I'm gonna go all the way down the rabbit hole. But we have one more.
Let me ask you this then. How do you feel about that? I mean, we know that
we're bringing a star in.
Well, not even necessarily a star, but well, I guess, I mean, star is relative, but yes. And in the sense, but more not about who you bring in, but the purpose behind it, because we know that certain castings happen because they're trying to bring in these audience members, right? And so yes,
well, it only happens to musicals. It more so happens to musicals,
because I know people that saw A Raisin in the Sun simply because Diddy was headlining it.
And that's why they did
never seen.
Yeah, that's why they did
it. So that's what I'm at. I know, and I'm asking, like, yes, no. How do you feel when they do that?
As I'm speaking as an actor, as a director, sometimes you want your stuff to be seen. So you sometimes cast a little, extra, and Kyle can speak to this too, because he understands like the casting process to things. But in terms of putting in certain people for the need of bringing in a fresh audience, it's often necessary to save a theater production. But it can sometimes sting to an actor, because when you've been doing your thing, and then this person just had a hit #1 album, and they get put in. A lot of people wasn't happy that Fantasia was put into The Color Purple, because they felt like, who is this American Idol coming in? And then she crushed it. When I say crushed it. But even, and I'm not gonna say Puff Daddy was bad. He was horrible, because he fit that character. Like, that was who you could tell Puff Daddy in his very beginnings was that hustle man that was always looking for a get rich quick scheme. And that's who that character was. He just wanted to make it. So they put a very ambitious person.
You're saying that they basically typecast him because he's
very
ambitious. he's an ambitious person, and that goes with the character. I think, and I understand what you're saying, because I think they did the same thing, for example, with Dreamgirls with Beyonce.
Yeah,
she was
because she was
Beyonce.
in because the controversy with Destiny Child versus the Supreme. So that just they think about those things. That's a good marketing strategy. Mm-hmm. But again, she can sing, so let's put somebody who can sing in it. And that's what happens. That's why I say it mostly happens with musicals. But like A Raisin in the Sun, it was they don't normally bring in that caliber of a star for a non-musical because musicals make more money. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure Raisin in the Sun made quadruple what it would normally have made putting Puff Daddy in. But we saw that with Toni Braxton as Belle, or what's the young lady name?
She also played what was it? Adia? No, shit.
Avita.
Avita.
Yeah. And that was controversial because that was the first black Avita. And who was the first black Cinderella? I can't remember my name.
Kiki Palmer.
Kiki Palmer. So they switch it up.
Well, Brandy was the first one on film.
Yeah.
Kiki Palmer was the first one on Broadway.
Right. But they switch it up in theater because it brings in a fresh audience. And that's strictly what it is they don't care who the person is as long as they could deliver. And I've seen some plays where they didn't necessarily deliver.
And I figured I figured it when you're taking that course when you're going along that. But I always look at it, I get the need for it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been to a theater production since the coronavirus started, but I noticed that typically it seems that less and less people are going to the theater every year, right? Like every year I go to a show and it seems like it's less and less people every year. And I know that may not affect like places like Broadway and stuff like that, but
it does. That's why they bring in those stars, because it shows die on Broadway all the time. Some good shows have died on Broadway. Trip the Bountiful with Cicely Tyson.
Is like you put somebody like that in the show, and people come out to see it because of that person. But if 25%, 15 to 25% of those people then start to become regular theater goers just because they enjoyed the experience so much.
But see, you have to understand, Broadway is commercial. That's commercial theater, and they are doing shows every day, like Tuesday through Sunday, every day. So they have to keep it fresh somehow. They got you to your church group came out to see this production, but Fantasia go be in this one, so you got to come back and you got to see The Color Purple again, and then we got to bring you back. So we go bring, what's her name, who just did Aretha. We put her in it, so that's a whole new showdown. So they switch it up so they can get the people to come back to the show.
Gotcha.
Versus this.
But I'm thinking about on a local level. Somebody. If 10 people from that church bus become theater goers, so that when they come back to Baltimore, right? Like they go to Everyman, they go to Arena, they go to.
Well, they do that at Arena. They do that at Arena. So they bring in. I've seen them do it several times. Amina used to do it all the time. She always had some ringer in there. So that's how you get the church groups to come. They did. I remember they did the God's Trombone, and they put a pastor in it from every church, and that's how they brung all the churches out, because they just did Luther Vandross, and the guy was Luther, so all of his humongous mega church came to that. So you do things to spice it up, but I know it still does affect actors in a way, because it's almost taking their job. But would they have been able to fill that house up like that, as you said? Because theater, because theater has become a thing to do, everybody is doing theater. You got your August Wilson over here, but you got your Tyler Perry over there. So that urban theater circuit is now coming back. So that's where you see a lot of the audience, and you're not necessarily going to see a lot of those urban plays, but that's where a lot of the audiences are going to. The tickets are cheaper, sometimes, and they add more local actors to it, and it's unfortunate, but it happens that way, but
Yeah.
typecasting is definitely a thing. Definitely. So we have one last one left, and this is my least favorite. I just threw a monkey wrench in it.
Yeah, you want to throw a monkey wrench in? You should have thrown that one. What is that? American Son on Netflix. That's a monkey wrench. This just boring. Shaboing, shaboing, shaboing.
I mean, but many people love this movie because of the love story in it, because of I think most people love it because of the ending, but I never liked this movie. I think because of how I was introduced to it. My English teacher loved this movie. And we normally watched a film every week. And this was like
in
one
English class?
Yeah. Because we were writing like scripts and studying scripts basically in that class. And it was really this was one that she snuck in at least like about 3 times that semester. And I hated it. Like I would always fake sick every time. I saw this was gonna be on the. I'm not feeling good. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go to the bathroom because I hate. It was just so dry. It was so. And I never saw this as a play, but I saw snippets of a production of it on stage, and I was like, "Who would put this on stage? Like, why would you even?" But again, it was the movie was a adaptation of the play. So it was probably a totally different. And from the clips that I saw, it didn't feel the same. But many people love this movie and couldn't tell you anything about it. Like they don't know why they like it. I know why I don't like it, but
I've tried to watch it multiple times.
it's just
and it doesn't work for me.
I made it through like 20 minutes.
I've asked people what it is about this film that they like, and like you said,
some people just like black and white movies. Some people just love.
Yeah,
we had Jay Nicole on here, and she loves like if a movie was made after 1959, she don't like it. It has to be like
hold on. Now see, I get that because I don't feel like what she was saying was she like every movie from that prior time period.
She likes the starlet, like that Hollywood starlet.
She likes a certain type of film, but it still needs to be, like it still needs to be good. Right, like
for her. I mean, I know, knowing Jay Nicole is this that tear jerker factor, like that love story, that that pinup girl type of like it. I love black and white films because that was something that I had to watch as a child, but it really is. I try to get like that overacting, that extra male white bravado type of. I just can't. Like Gone with the Wind, that was one of the ones that got by me in terms of tricking me to like it. But that is one film out of how many that I don't like. And this is definitely on that list of movies that I don't like. Because it's just not, the story is not,
nobody can ever say what the story is about.
I could, like, I've watched this movie a couple times and I hate it so much.
But a lot of the films back then are like that. They ain't really about nothing.
A lot of those movies were built around the stars. So they would have these stars and we need a movie for them. Write a movie so this, Humphrey Bogart would have a film, or, they would build a film around a star versus this is the film. Let's let this actor read for this. It was a star system. So they would just build these films around them. But it wasn't anything that was of good merit. Every now and again, you'll get a good movie, or you'll fall in love with a certain movie star So that's why you like the film, you know. And I suspect a lot, and me being friends with Jay Nicole, that's why she likes a lot of the films that she likes, because of the actors that were in it. It has nothing to do with the actual film itself. And this is Casablanca is. I hear people swoon over this film.
I mean, it's frequently in somebody's like top 50 greatest movies of all time, right? Like,
yeah. And I think it's just his last scene, the last scene of it.
This and Amadeus, like, how can they put this and Amadeus in the same? I don't know.
Yeah, Amadeus is totally off the record compared to this. Like, that's good storytelling. It's good. It's like, and a lot of people don't like a lot of that pomp and circumstance when it comes to a film, especially a period piece. But that one was so elaborate and so rich, and this one was okay. She was hard headed. He got her to listen. They fell in love. Movie over. Airplane fog. You know, it looked good. You know, and that's what old Hollywood was great at, making actors look good on film. Like, they had a way of doing that because they built the pieces around that actress or that actor. So, but a lot of them didn't really have a lot of substance to them. You know, it really didn't really have a lot of depth. And then the movies that kind of rose to the top was because the star was good. I remember watching a bunch of Liz Taylor movies, and I was like, she is horrible. Why is she considered a star? And then somebody like Lucille Ball, none of her movies made a blip until she became I Love Lucy. But Liz Taylor, like, who is this lady? And why is she in every major film? Horrible. But it was more so just, you know, stock movies made to make certain actors bigger than life. And yeah, so I guess we all have given Casablanca a thumbs down. It was not a favorite at all.
I don't even know why I chose this.
outside of the films that we watched this time, are there any other stage plays or theater that you would like to see made into a movie?
So we got all the August Wilsons coming. Raisin in the Sun has been done.
Well, that hasn't been a film yet.
Well, now One Night in Miami, that's been done. Like,
I haven't watched it yet. Actually,
that was the last. I think that might have been. That wasn't the last theater performance. That wasn't the last theater performance I saw. That was the last one I saw with my dad.
I'm trying to think what play.
Well, since you said that, I would love to see The Meeting done as a movie.
I would not.
Why not? Because they would have to add some spice to it, but I would love to see, because nobody ever saw the two of them together, like, in terms of, like,
I'm not
real
sure.
life.
I'm not sure if I would say The Meeting, but I would love to see what is it? Not The Meeting, the one about Martin Luther King and the girl in the motel.
Mountaintop.
The Mountaintop.
The Mountaintop. Well, that was the one that Samuel L. Jackson did, right?
Yeah, he wasn't that good than that.
I didn't. I didn't see it. I actually would love. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Angela Bassett was good. She played the maid.
Okay,
but she was good.
That
everything ain't for everybody.
But see, the casting was off to me because that girl's supposed to be like in her 20s or something. Like, but
Angela Bassett pulled it off though. To be honest,
what was it about? Was Samuel Jackson's performance that you like? Was it just that you? Because I imagine that Samuel Jackson, like Morgan Freeman and James Earl Jones, has this very, like, unique voice. Like, you can close your eyes and, like, oh, that's Samuel Jackson.
But when you're playing a real person,
I imagine that becomes an issue when you're playing a historical figure. And even though he may, I'm sure that he, I'm pretty sure that he made alterations to his voice, but then I don't think there's much alteration you can do to get away from the fact that that's Samuel L.
Right, and Martin was said by many people who knew him, he was a little smooth. He had a little, Obama flair to him.
Well, and I mean, because
Samuel Jackson don't have that same smooth. He
can have that same smooth. He had that smooth in one of my favorite movies, which is Eve's Bayou. He was very smooth.
Shaft.
I've enjoyed him in films. I think it was him playing Martin that was off. And we've had so many different people play Martin now, so we have a certain, like, I just watched Selma, so that was a different, and he was struggling. I could tell that actor was struggling to keep his dialect consistent.
Yeah, because he's also David Oyelowo. He's British.
He's very British.
It was some moments in that was like, are you trying to be country?
Now, the British actor that doesn't have any problem with that, of course, is Idris Elba. He doesn't have a problem with that. But the other one is Chiwetel Ejiofor. He has no problem. Like, I didn't even know he was British at first.
Yeah. But that in Selma, he was struggling. It was moments you could tell they was like, we can't do no more cuts of this. We can't.
Yeah.
You could tell because they just gave up because his dialect was coming through slightly. But I think for Samuel Jackson, it was just, I'm not saying he's not capable and he's not a good actor. I'm just saying that particular character, because Martin is known for his voice, and then Samuel Jackson is known for his
voice, right? And that's what I was.
Yeah, you couldn't.
That's where I was going with it.
I mean, but even with that, there are actors who were able to. There's actors who are able to do that, because Denzel Washington did pretty good with Malcolm X, and Angela Bassett did good with Tina Turner, even though they sounded like themselves to me. Like I could tell that.
But sometimes you can disappear.
Yeah,
and he just didn't disappear as Martin to me. He didn't disappear for me. Like you could. It was the whole time. It was Samuel Jackson playing Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
but I think one of the films that I would want to see made is The Meeting, and that's just because I've done it before, and I would like to see film of it. I would like to see that done in that, and I think the only other one, I don't know. That's a hard one. I think The Meeting was at the top, but
I mean, like I said, the Mountaintop is definitely one of. I would like to see all of Katori Hall's plays made into movies, because what they're doing with P Valley is it's amazing. So like, I would love to see like her plays, because she has this way of like really like because she's a black girl from Jackson, Mississippi, but she went to like Harvard. So like she has like she has this way of like merging like
she got some strong layers that she's good at.
This way of merging like hood shit with like intellectual shit that's just like you know what I'm saying? Like it's really good to watch. So I would like to see her plays get made into, and the Brother Size, like that whole brother sister series with Terrell Evan McCraney. Definitely.
Okay. Because Kyle, if you don't know, Brother Size is Kyle's one of his favorite plays.
That's one of my favorite plays. Yeah.
What's it called?
The
Brother Size.
Okay.
The Brother Size, and that was me and rest in peace Martique. That was the last show that we acted together. I did a private production of that, like a I shouldn't say private. It was like a independent production of it in 2013, and me and Martique was in it. He played my brother, and that was the last thing that we did together. So like that play holds a special place in my heart.
And this play may be crazy to see in a movie, but because of the space that we're in right now, I want to see Day of Absence. I want to see Day of Absence.
Yo, Day of Absence might actually, that be, and you're right. Like, if there was ever a time for Day of Absence to be made, it was now. Yeah. Especially after seeing, like I watched them this weekend, and Yeah, I totally agree. Like I'd almost forgotten about Day of Absence, but that would be a hell of a show. Like in the right hands, that could be a hell of a production to be made. Like right
and
now.
Another one just popped into my mind, and it's rarely done. But when it's done, last time I did it, I was with Kaumba Roz, but Wine in the Wilderness. So if you've never heard of that, look up Wine in the Wilderness. It's definitely like a protest type of piece. There's a riot going on outside, and these friends have planned to get together, but they are now forced to be together in this moment, and there's a riot going on outside, and there's just all these different perspectives based on their class and what they do for a living that determines how they feel about this riot going on outside. And that play is rarely done, but it's definitely another play that I would love to see.
Could be interesting.
Yeah. That deals with more internal, like colorism and
that could be pretty good.
And I think this is a new space for theater to, and for playwrights to move into, because often we get tired of seeing Gauze Trombone and the Colored Museum, but to give them a new life, a new space, it'll bring a little bit more appreciation to the pieces, because that's how a lot of people felt about Dreamgirls. Like nobody wants to see Dreamgirls, nobody wants to see the Wiz anymore, but to put them in a different space, it when they start doing those live TV plays, it gave the Wiz and Dreamgirls and stuff like that a new space to be in. Not Dreamgirls, more so the Wiz, but but this has been a cool show.
Yes,
some good ones. Keep tuned in. Like, Binge-worthy podcast. We're building it to be a space for independent filmmakers. Soon playwrights, if Kyle writes something at all for me.
I will.
And we're trying to expose you to a little bit of everything, but we definitely are on the lookout for independent filmmakers that we can talk to. We can screen their films and give them some airtime in terms of exposing their talents, exposing their work. So if you are an independent filmmaker, if you have a film, if you're thinking about a film, if you already have a film, you need some actors for a film, whatever you need, we got you. So hit us up at scenework, SCENEWURK @gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram or on Facebook. We try to check those as often as possible. A couple weirdos, but other than that, we definitely respond to your messages. And follow us on our YouTube page at The Artist Exchange. We are looking to hit 5,000 new viewers by the end of the spring. I'm gonna say the spring. I'm gonna say the summer. We can do the summer. And we have a couple more episodes coming down the pipeline, so definitely stay tuned for that. And binge watch our first season and the first half of this season again on our YouTube page at The Artist Exchange, and just look up. You can just Google Binge-worthy podcast, because we're actually coming up above the other scammers that are out there trying to be Binge-worthy podcast. So
we got scammers now.
We got a couple scammers. We got
scammers.
Yeah, somebody sent me a message on Instagram. So they out there.
That means we must be doing something right.
I mean, they thought they had went on
our product, like we must be doing something right.
That's how it would be sometimes. But we did good on time this time. We under 5 hours, so we doing something good. So Kyle, let the people know where they can find you. Anything you got coming up new, any plays that you writing for me. I mean, Georgia asked you too, but
well, you can definitely find me on Facebook At Aya, that's IAH, July, JULAI. And it has my name, my actual name, Kyle Jackson, in parentheses. You can find me
I'm
on
glad you said that
Instagram.
because for years I've been trying to say, how the hell you say that?
And then on Instagram, you can find me at cusp_of_oscillation. That's Instagram. I also work for Bear
He's
World
so deep.
Magazine. I also work for Bear World Magazine, which is LGBTQ magazine for larger men. And I'm the deputy editor for that magazine. And you can find us at Bear World Mag on Twitter, Instagram, and you can visit our website at bearworldmag.com.
There we go.
There
Then you go write a play for me.
Yeah.
And then you go feature me in his magazine because I did such a good job with the play.
Yeah.
And then, but I have to keep my clothes on this time, Kyle, because there's a lot of creeps that you've brought my way. But it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. A creep is good. That means a fan. So, what about you, George? What's coming out? What's new?
Ain't nothing coming up, man. I'm working 2 jobs. I ain't got time for this. Nah, man, it is not. I'm not even lying though. You know, I ain't been on the stage now for 2 years. 2 years. This 2021.
Well, Kyle about to write a play for us, so we gonna be good.
I don't know, man. Like after hearing about, I was like, I don't know.
I didn't write that play. I didn't write that play.
You did say you didn't write that play.
He did. He directed it, but
that play was actually written by Robert O'Hara, who is the writer of what else did he do? He did so much stuff. Look him up.
Sounds familiar.
Robert O'Hara.
You've heard of him. He
just directed Slave Play on Broadway, which was written by Jeremy O'Harris. But Robert O'Hara. Robert O'Hara's plays.
He's real outside of the box.
Insurrection Holding History was the play that Nathan was in that he's talking about. And that's the play that he had to get vacant in. But I did not write that play. I directed it at Annex Theater in Baltimore.
Oh, and it's on film somewhere. I got to get that film.
Did they film it? I actually would like to know.
No, you did.
Did I?
Kyle, did you lose the film of me butt ass naked? Is that what you're telling me right now?
I don't know if I got that on film, Nate.
We about to fight because
I thought that was something you didn't want to see the light of day.
No, that was. I mean, it is what it is. You know how many people came to see that? We had sold out shows damn near every night. So
why did the theater?
I'm good with me.
I want to ask them if they recorded it.
They probably did. You know, white people always ahead of shit like that. So anyway, this has been another episode.
Like to be naked on stage.
Who? Yeah, they do. I mean, it wasn't as uncomfortable.
Was that your idea, or did they come to you and say,
it was? I'm not gonna lie to you. It's written in the play.
Yeah,
and the play was my idea. I'm going to tell you the truth about what happened. Annex Theater, what's his name? Evan, that used to work at Annex Theater. He worked with me at Everyman, and when I was doing Marley at
I was in Marley. He's a celebrity.
When I was doing Marley at Center Stage, Evan asked me to direct the show next at Annex Theater, and the show that they wanted me to direct at Annex Theater, which was one of the shows that I suggested. I suggested like 3 shows, and the one that they chose was actually In the Blood by Susan Laurie Parks. They wanted me to direct. They wanted me to direct In the Blood. I told them that I liked In the Blood. In the Blood, Susan Laurie Parks is another one of my favorite playwrights. I like that.
Hold on. Shout out to Susan Laurie Parks because she is getting herself out there. Yeah. She has become a film writer now, a screenwriter now. Well, she wrote Aretha.
Aretha. She's been doing film. She all the way back. She wrote The Eyes Are Watching God, and she also wrote the screenplay for Girl 6. But Susan Laurie Parks wrote that, and she's one of my favorites. But I was like, this play is it's a woman's journey, and I feel like if someone should direct this, it should be a woman. a black woman playwright. I was like, I think that we should do Insurrection Holding History, and I'm going to give you this show. And Evan was not really sure about it at first, and he came to center stage. He was like, oh, okay, I could tell he didn't say that.
The title had insurrection in it, so you asked the white man to do something about the insurrection.
He didn't say that, but I could just tell he wanted me. They wanted me to do In the Blood. Yeah. So then get to he comes to rehearsal while I'm on lunch break at center stage, and he picks up the script for Insurrection Holding History, and he goes and reads it, and he texts me the night. He's like, oh my God, we have to do this play. And so actually doing Insurrection was my idea.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that play made a bunch of other theater companies in the city do black plays. I'm not gonna say that, but I'm gonna say it. And it was definitely an interesting production to be a part of. I still get a little clout from it, so kind of happy about that. Real respectful to the director Kyle.
Yes.
Kyle A. Jackson. So this has been another edition because we about to get to 2 hours, and I'm not doing that. I refuse.
Yeah.
But we're headed out. So check us every Tuesday. We got a different episode, and our season 2 is actually coming to an end. For the summer, we'll be back in the fall. So definitely stay tuned, stay locked in. We'll be doing some special,
Are we skipping the summer?
We're not. I mean, not the whole summer, but like
we skipping the summer.
We
skipping the summer, y'all.
I mean, if we still in quarantine,
Nate won't be out there in the hot months.
I'm not. I'm gonna be in the house. I'm gonna be right in here.
He's gonna be out in them streets.
I ain't getting that vaccine until I see a couple more side effects.
Couple more.
I mean, they still coming because people just starting to get them.
Like side effects.
Yeah, it's like
about when they get
the Johnson and Johnson shot has already been shut down in many states and other countries. So that's one that's off the table.
You talking about AstraZeneca?
No, that one's not even here yet. That one's not even here in the US yet.
I hadn't heard that the Johnson and Johnson vaccine was being shut down.
A couple people have gotten some serious side effects from it.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the one that only has one shot.
Oh, the Johnson and Johnson with the 85% effective rate. Yeah, right. I mean 86% effective.
So just keep wearing your mask, keep washing your hands, and I know it's hot outside, so keep washing your hands. But
right,
socially distance. I know things are open. Plenty of restaurants here in Maryland are at 100% capacity again. So go with your own wisdom, go with your own gut, and stay safe. Save a life. There's still people dying from coronavirus as of now. So this is still real. We don't have to be prisoners. It's not a punishment. It's just life. It's what happens. So let's not go crazy because it's about to be a hot girl summer. Like just be safe and practice cleanliness and distancing and all that jazz. So everybody say goodbye. Peace out.
Peace out.
Good one. See y'all next week.
Yes.
What's the topic next week, Nate?
The topic next week, we're doing some more biopics next week.
Oh, okay. Coming with the real.
It may be something different. I don't know. Depends on what George is doing. What is he doing?
I don't know. We might have to. Hey, y'all. For all of our listeners, keep a lookout on the page because I think me and Nate are gonna have to come at y'all before the official next episode. We might have to come live with it to talk about a few recent drops over the past week or two.
I mean, just keep going because I wrote off Netflix and Amazon and so my bill getting paid, so I can still keep watching them. All right. There we go. So peace out, everybody. Good night. Good day.
Good night.